Happy Saturday, everybody. It is June 6th, and this is episode 3 of Priority Transport. Before I jump into everything, I want to let you guys know that I was on the Enmity podcast with a couple of guys from 42gaming.com. Really good guys. They actually seeked me out and asked me to be on their podcast, and it was really, really fun. It was a lot different having a dynamic of other people to talk to, and I'd really appreciate it if you guys check them out. They're at 42gaming.com. You can follow the links on their page, and I'll throw the links in the description below, but I really wanted to show appreciation for that. Thanks, guys. Alright, so let's just hop into everything. First thing I noticed this week, MMORPG.com, they wrote an article about playable races and which races could end up being playable. The article was written by a guy named Gene Pryor, and he said because of the voiceover work that they've done extensively in SWTOR, the only races that could be introduced would have to be races that speak basic. Now, I don't know if maybe I missed something here, but to me, couldn't they just solve that problem by introducing some kind of device that translates like right on the spot? Like, couldn't that just happen? I mean, feel free to correct me if they've said something against that, you know, if that can't happen, but to me it just seems like, hey, it doesn't really matter. Just give a device that translates. I mean, but he really did a good job. He rated the races by which were likely to be implemented into the game following the guidelines that SWTOR has set out for the next playable race. And it was, I don't remember exactly, but it was one of the guidelines was less alien than so and so. Now I feel like an ass for not figuring that out or for writing that down, but anyway, there were guidelines presented by SWTOR people to say that the next playable race would have to be this and not that. And this guy, Gene Pryor, really sat down and went through which races could be implemented based on those guidelines, and actually went through the likelihood and had like a little rating system of likelihoodness. It was really good. If I can find the link, I'll put that link in the description below. But it was an article on MMORPG.com written by Gene Pryor. This other thing, the next thing I'm going to talk about, I found really interesting, and I found it on the SWTOR forums. It has to do with an RP guild. There's an RP guild that is systemically harassing another RP guild and is demanding 3 million credits ransom to stop. Like, I know that's a dick move. Excuse me. I know that is a dick move, but I couldn't help but laugh, you know. They even have spies in the guild to try to get quote unquote positions of influence. Now, the victim guild here wrote a ticket, and BioWare did respond to it, and BioWare's response to their complaint told them that no action had been taken. I just thought, you know, this really would suck for the victim guild here. I mean, I totally see that, and I totally understand that. Whenever they're trying to go out and RP, they have this other guild coming in and just harassing the hell out of them, and, you know, not allowing them to RP. Now, I'm not a big RPer, but yeah, to each their own, and that is a big aspect of MMORPGs is obviously RPing, and I could see how this really sucks, but at the same time, man, I feel like I gotta give credit where credit's due, and they're demanding 3 million credits to stop. I don't know. I know it's a dicky thing, but I kind of find it hilarious. I think it's pretty funny. And the fact that they've gone to the extreme of getting spies to try to get positions of influence, and the other guild, and the ransom, and all of that, everything put together, I have to ask myself, you guys RP, are they then playing the villains? You know, I don't know. I can go either way on this one. I can really go either way on this one. I'd be interested to know what you guys think, though. Should BioWare do something and stop it? Should BioWare just not allow it to happen whatsoever? Or is this something that just comes with the territory? Is this just something you have to accept when RPing? There's good guys and there's bad guys, and there are people out there that are going to play the role of the bad guys. Let me know what you guys think. Now, actually, the next couple of topics we're going to talk about, I covered on the Enmity podcast with the guys from 42gaming.com last night. And this video podcast would actually probably be out before theirs. But I just wanted to let you guys know we talked about this on their podcast, and it was really interesting because I wasn't told what we were going to talk about beforehand. I mean, I was about 10 minutes before we went on air, but it was funny that two of the topics we were going to talk about on their podcast were two topics that I was talking about this week. So the first one, female characters. Female characters. Now, guys who play MMOs have to know that the majority of female characters are dudes, right? Like, I mean, we all know like the acronym of MMORPG, Many Men Online Role-Playing Girls. Like, we already know that acronym. And as much as I love this genre, it's a fairly accurate acronym. The thing is, though, make a female character, and if it's a sexy looking type of character, you will just get free shit for doing nothing. You'll just get free stuff. People will come up to you and just give you stuff. But there is a downside to it too. Go to the GTN on the fleet, go anywhere where there's a lot of people, and there will be that one person who is just whispering you the most obscene stuff you can imagine, and won't stop when you say, dude, I'm a dude, like, this is just a character, like, I would rather look at her booty and boobs while I play a video game than a dude. It doesn't matter. They will not stop. It gets very raunchy. Part of me wants to just tell you the things that I've been told because I play female characters sometimes. And then I'm battling with the other part of trying to be PG. But that's just not me, so I'm going to tell you. I mean, I've had people come up to me and just talk about how they want to lick pussy, how they want to bend me over. I had one guy come up to me on, I was standing at the GTN, I was putting stuff on the trade network, and this dude came up to me and was doing the /me emotes, and he was literally like, /me licks your pussy and you like it. I'm like, dude, like, for real? Like, it's weird because I'm a dude, but it doesn't offend me because I'm also a dude. But if I were a female, that would bug the shit out of me, guys. It's just, it's not respectful. You have to imagine if that were an actual woman on the other end. And there's a lot of women that play MMORPGs. There's tons of females, and there's a lot of actually predominant female players out on YouTube or on the internet in general. just don't do that shit, man. Just don't do it. It's disrespectful to women, and it's not cool. Now, if you're RPing with someone and you guys have like a thing going on, that's completely different. But just walking up to someone and doing that, I know no one's gonna listen to me because the trolls will never stop. But dude, it's so disrespectful. It's just not cool. But at the same time, you get free stuff. So balance that how you will. The other thing we talked about are the doom and gloom people. You know, servers are dead, the game is dying, this and that. And I've touched on this before. And we actually, I think he said that I was going to go into more detail on it on my podcast, but the truth is we went into, I think, more detail on his podcast than we will on mine. So check theirs out again. But it's summertime, like I talked about before, and they should be implementing something because it's summertime. A week after I say that, well, right at about 2 weeks, no, about a week and a half after I say that, Spoils of War is coming out. Spoils of War will be coming out June 10th. So this coming Tuesday, they're going to do scheduled maintenance and implement Spoils of War. So there you go. But there are still a lot of people complaining about the amount of people that play this game. And you have to remember, I just started playing this a few months ago. Now, I was told last night that when there were like more than 50 people on a planet, I forget during what content update or what it was, but there were more than like 50 people on a planet, and that's when they introduced instanced planets. Well, that really, really blows. If they can't handle more than 50 people on one planet, like that really sucks. Now, I play Republic, and the gentleman over at 42 Gaming were talking about the Imperial side and how sometimes you log in like 7:30 in the morning and there's only 7 people on the fleet. I haven't run into those extremes, and we play on the same server. I play on the Bastion US. Now, I've logged in early in the morning and seen that there were only, 10 to 30-ish people on. But I've never seen it below 10, which is interesting, because I always assumed more people played Imperial because armor looks way more cool for the Imperials. But it's summertime. People are out doing stuff. The dynamic of MMOs are changing. I mean, World of Warcraft is the elephant in the room. It's the behemoth. That's not changing anytime soon. I mean, they're still at over 7 million subscribers, and they're a couple years into Mists of Pandaria. Like, they're at the very end of the development cycle for an expansion, and they're still like 7.8, I think was the last figure that I heard, or 7.5, somewhere in there, million people. But exclude WoW out of this equation. Until, at first, with just WoW, WoW is really the only huge MMO we've had. And currently the only huge one we do have. But the dynamic of that is changing in where there are a lot more choices with MMORPGs now. And because of that, games are tending to go in like niche areas. So, like for instance, WildStar. You've got WildStar really catering to the hardcore players with their raid system and everything. They're really aiming towards the really hardcore players, and I think that's going to bring more people back to SWTOR. They're going to go there, not be able to face roll through content. They're going to hit a boss 50 times, not be able to down it, and they're going to be like, screw this, I'm going home. Now, WoW with Warlords of Draenor, everyone has always complained that WoW caters to the casuals. But in in-game content, on this next expansion, they're really turning more towards the hardcore players. So where does that leave SWTOR? Because those are the three big ones right now. Well, I mean, there is SO, Second Life, Secret World, but the three like blockbusters, SWTOR, WoW, WildStar. I think that's really that having games cater to a specific group instead of trying to cater to everyone, I think is really good for the genre. It's really good. People are going to be able to feel more fulfilled and spending the amount of time you spend in an MMORPG. I think it's a good thing. The days of 12 million subscribers like WoW had, those days are over, I believe. They're over. I don't believe the subscription model is over. And I'll tell you why. A lot of people bitch and bitch and bitch when they have to pay $15 a month for an MMORPG. But the MMOs that charge that and use that money wisely have some of the best content out there. So there should be no problem with paying $15 a month for a game that can last decades. I mean, it's a constant development. Their development never ever stops. It never stops. WoW's coming up on 10 years. 10 years. They would not have been able to do that by just charging you for the game and then having a cash shop. And if they did, it wouldn't have been as successful. Even if they could pull that off, they wouldn't make the amount of money they make now, which means they wouldn't have all of the talent and creative department that they do now. You guys are going to have to accept that. I'm sorry. Good MMORPGs last a long time, and they're constantly in development. You get what you pay for, and that's that. It takes a lot of money to facilitate an MMORPG. It takes a lot of money to facilitate it, and that money's got to come from somewhere. Now, I'm not saying the guys over at Blizzard aren't getting filthy rich, because some of them are. But a lot of that money has gone into some really good features in that game and some really good content. I don't care what anybody says. So, people are going to have to get over it. SWTOR has already said that they need to keep about 500,000 subscribers to be able to remain profitable. Now, has that changed recently with the cash shop? Probably. But they're still going to need subscribers to remain profitable. That's just how it is. WildStar just came out, $15. These first-person shooters can be in development for a year or two, come out, sell millions of copies, and be good. An MMO, they're in development for a minimum of 5 years, and once it's released, people are not happy with the amount of content that's in the game. Then they release more content. Then they have to release more content. That just continually happens. Now, the one thing I think SWTOR does that other MMOs should look at is if you're a subscriber, you should not have to pay for the expansion. You should not have to pay 50, 60 bucks for the expansion if you're paying $15 a month. SWTOR has that down. I really wish WoW would take a play out of the SWTOR playbook. And I'm not sure if WildStar is going to be that way. I mean, they were just released, and obviously there's not going to be talk of an expansion anytime in the near future. But the doom and gloom stuff, guys, just get over it. I mean, more games are coming out to cater to different people, and that's just the way it's going to be. If the developers at BioWare continue to put out decent content, good content, the game will be fine. And that's that, pretty much. I mean, one thing that they could work on is the pace in which they release things, because from 2.3 to 2.8, everything that they've released, they could have released in a better time frame, and it wouldn't feel like you've gone extended periods of time without specific types of content. So I think patch 2.3, Titans of the Industry, I think that was like August of 2013, and Spoils of War coming out this Tuesday. So in patch 2.3 and 2.4, there were new daily hubs, and it's going to be about a year until another one probably. And they released 2 operations in patch 2.4, 5 war zones in patches 2.4, 2.5, and 2.7, and that was after 10 months without any. Just boom, here's 5 within a span of 3. Well, actually 4, because 2.6 nothing came out as far as war zones. I think if they worked on when they release content, things will go better, and people won't feel like they've ran through all of the content. If they figure out a better pace, they can release the same amount that they've been releasing, but not do it in bursts. They need to sit down and say, okay, we give them this one thing, this one thing, this one thing. Go a while. This one thing, this one thing. Not 2 or 3 of this one thing and then nothing. You know, I think if they work on that, they'll be fine. The game's not dead. Just get over it. I mean, I had to talk about this last week. It seems like it's a topic that just never goes away in any MMO. People have been saying WoW is dead for years. No. No. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in to episode 3 of Priority Transport, and I'll see you next Saturday morning. Please don't forget to rate, subscribe, comment, and share. It really helps me out, and I greatly appreciate it. Have a good day, guys.